I was reading your bio on like the Strathclyde website, and you've done so much research as far as I can see. But if you could just tell me a bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm John Liggat. I'm Professor of Polymer Science and Technology here at the University of Strathclyde. I've been at the university coming up now for, I hate to think just how long it is, 27 years. 27 years I've been here. But my background in industry is in industry. So I worked in the polymer industry before I came to Strathclyde. And what always appealed to me about Strathclyde was that it was a centre of excellence in polymer and material science, but also had those industrial links. And I've always, since I started at Strathclyde, been involved in industrial research, problem solving, consultancy. So having something like the AMRL behind me to provide that analytical resource has been really important for the research that I do. My interests really cover almost all elements of polymer science apart from synthesis of polymers. I do a wee bit of that, but I wouldn't say synthesis is a major part. Structure property relationships, morphology, crystallization, mechanical properties, environmental stability, photochemical degradation, biodegradation, fire and flammability are probably a principal interest.
And then, so going back, what initially brought you to the AMRL?
Well, I was actually one of the academics that was consulted right at the outset when AMRL was merely a concept, and was consulted on what capability would be appropriate from my expertise and background as a materials chemist personally, but also from what I knew from what industry would be looking for as well. So I've been involved in the AMRL when it was really just an idea.
Oh, that's so exciting. I didn't realise that. So what projects have you worked on with the AMRL then? Can you give any examples?
Oh my goodness, that is probably actually quite a difficult one to do because we've done so much over the years with the AMRL. Sometimes they help us and sometimes we help them. So sometimes we do chemical analysis that AMRL can't do. But one of the most recent ones has been a project where one of my PhD students was working with a company in Perth making effectively ceramic heating elements for industrial furnaces. And we needed to characterize the morphology of those devices. We were developing new what do you call it, welding, because that's the term they use, but it's actually more like an adhesive technology. We were developing new bonding technologies, let's use that terminology, bonding technologies, and we wanted to track how the bond developed over time and temperature. And so we utilised the resources of the AMRL for that. What other activities have we engaged in? We have done, taken advantage of some of the thermal analysis equipment that AMRL have. We do have thermal analysis equipment, but AMRL has some state-of-the-art equipment. So the use of the simultaneous thermal gravimetry and differential thermal analysis has been particularly useful for us. Again, that was particularly useful in studying the ceramic bonding technologies, because that allowed us to track the thermal changes and mass loss changes that were occurring all the way up to very high temperatures, 1200 degrees centigrade or so, much higher than we could achieve with the equipment we have in chemistry. We've looked at surface characterization. We've done quite a lot of surface characterization, looking at elemental composition of surfaces. We've done dynamic mechanical thermal analysis on a whole range of materials, including sports hall flooring, the sort of green sort of flooring you often get in sports
Yeah.
hall. It's got to be just sufficiently resilient to provide a bit of bounce back, but not be so bouncy as like running on a trampoline, but not so rigid that you do yourself a mischief when you fall on it. So we've done a whole range of analyses, and it's quite difficult now to track just exactly what we've done over the years. We've done so many things.
Also, it's so good to see the collaboration as well across, well, because I'm mechanical engineering, but seeing the collaboration between the chemistry department and like MAE is really good to see within Strathclyde.
I think, you know, beyond the AMRL, I mean, the important thing is that the AMRL are also doing things almost behind the scenes to support some of the collaborations that we've had over the years with mechanical and aerospace engineering. So we had a really nice program of work with Dr. Liu Yang and Sarah Bashir as a PhD student. Sarah had actually been a chemistry clinic student and had migrated into mechanical and aerospace engineering for her PhD. And there we were looking at the recovery of glass fibres from waste glass fibre reinforced composites. So the instrumentation in the AMRL was an integral part of that PhD programme. So that was a joint PhD programme between chemistry and mechanical and aerospace engineering, led by Liu. And the AMRL was, and the equipment, it was absolutely fundamental to what the outcomes of the PhD. And indeed, some of the publicity material for the AMRL has got pictures of Sarah as the images of, you know, Sarah as a user sitting at the instrument. So there it was underpinning a collaboration, a very successful and productive collaboration between the two departments. So it's not always about doing consultancy for other agencies. Sometimes it's supporting those collaborations as well as independent research.
It's so interesting, the broad scope of projects they get involved with as well. It's fascinating. It's amazing what they can do and the length they can go to. So
yeah, I mean, we've done, as I say, tensile testing, compression testing, yeah, the whole raft of technologies that we've used.
Are there any particular highlights with your time working with the MRL? Anything that comes to mind?
Well, I think the highlight was simply when they moved into the new laboratories. The space around, you see there was a major investment in the infrastructure that supported the investment in the equipment. And I think that's really important. Those are the highlights, are those sort of major investments in the infrastructure. But in terms of what, you know, it's not the use of the equipment that really I think about. It's actually engagement with the personnel. It's the engagement with Tiziana. It's the engagement with Fiona. They're the people I engage with. They're the ones who provide the expertise and the advice. So it's not just a case of getting raw data. It's raw data, an interpretation, maybe a caveat about how far you can read the data and not to extrapolate the information too far. It's that expertise that's really important alongside the availability of the equipment. And I think that's one of the things to stress, is that there are other facilities external to the university that provide analytical capabilities. But what differentiates a good analytical capability from just any old analytical capability is the expertise that's provided behind the data. Many of those external facilities will provide you with the data, but just leave you to interpret the data. And I think one of the important things from the AMRL is they have the expertise to help the user understand what the data means.
Definitely, and they do show a keen interest. I found with my doing my dissertation with them, they had a genuine interest to help out in any way they could. Like they could have just given us the data raw, as you said, but they did give us sort of some info, inside tips of things that
I
they
think, and I think that's
spotted.
the important thing, is that it's more than just a routine activity for them. It is a service in the sense that they do provide you with
Mhm.
that additional expertise. And I
Yeah.
think that's really an important message to get across. It's not just about the instrumentation, it's the support behind the instrumentation that's critical to the success of an activity like the AMRL.
Definitely. And then just overall, how would you describe your experience with the MRL?
I would say undoubtedly positive. It's been collaborative. As I say, I've been involved with the AMRL from the outset, and as it was merely a concept. We have worked collaboratively. I think that's important to bring out, that the AMRL are a resource for us, but the AMRL also recognise their limitations
Yeah.
and will seek support for analytical capability where they don't have that capability themselves. And I think the fact that they're part of this wider university network, I think, is also very important as well, because they have the expertise to tap into across the rest of the university. So it's not just the AMRL, it's the AMRL and the environment round about it that's important. And we are part of that. So those of us who work with the AMRL in chemistry sometimes provide that additional support to the AMRL. So it's this collaborative nature, and the fact that, if I was an outsider looking at the AMRL, so outside the university, what I would see attractive is the fact that you have the AMRL and the resources of the rest of the university behind you. And of course, Fiona and Tizzy over the years have built up that network within the university, so they know who to turn to if they need that extra advice and support.
Oh, so it is so nice, the collaboration across Strathclyde. I'm sad to be graduating, but it's I feel I only quite became aware of it towards the end of my university time, though, to see just quite the cross-disciplinary collaboration.
This is I will pitch the chemistry clinic here as that's why it's particularly valuable for us. Those students who join us as part of the chemistry clinic suddenly get to see the university from the inside, and they actually start to see the collaborations. They actually see how the university operates. Because otherwise, you only ever see your own undergraduate laboratory. Laboratory, lecture theatre, laboratory. Nowadays, it's not even the lecture theatre and laboratory, it's laptop screen. It's you don't see the university as a whole. You don't see how the university operates. And you've had the opportunity over the summer to see a bit more about how the university operates, and the chemistry clinic students, although it's pitched for them to develop an understanding of how SMEs operate, that's who they should be collaborating with. And they definitely get that insight. What they find really probably most valuable is simply getting an insight into how the university operates.